I'm Dr. Craig Rich. I am the Technical Director of Little Mountain Music, a retired professor of computer science at Cal Poly Pomona, and a musician and saxophone player since the fall of 1967 when I joined the 5th grade band. This is a video introduction to my mode studies for improvising musicians. The mode studies culminate my journey to achieve 3 goals. Know the universe of all scales and chords, learn to play every scale starting on any root pitch, and improvise using scales that fit chord changes. You can download a zip file containing the Mode Studies PDFs, treble and bass clef, using the QR code or the URL littlemountainmusic.org/download/mode_studies.zip. We start with the chromatic scale, our musical palette. Its notes are represented by the numbers 0 through 11, the ring of integers modulo 12, which ascend clockwise through an octave starting with the root note 0. The root note can be any pitch. I'll play scales and chords rooted on concert B flat so you can play along, transposing as necessary for your instrument. It's useful to view the notes of the chromatic scale as slices of pizza on a 12-slice tray. Since every scale is a subset of the chromatic scale, the universe of all scales is studied by considering the ways slices can be arranged on a 12-slice tray. The most influential scale is the major scale, which contains 7 notes. It's the one I started practicing in the 5th grade. If the major scale were rooted on concert C, its notes would correspond to the white keys on a piano. The 9 scales in the table play prominent roles in the universe of all scales. How many scales are there? The broadest definition of a scale is a subset of the chromatic scale that includes the root note 0. In the pizza analogy, the root slice must be included, and the 11 other slices can be independently included or excluded, producing 2 to the 11 scales. 2 to the 11th equals 2048, which is more scales than I want to know. The majority, 1,476 to be exact, are semi-chromatic, containing consecutive half steps and generating highly dissonant chords not represented by common chord symbols. The rest, 572 to be exact, are non-chromatic, containing no consecutive half steps and generating chords represented or covered by common chord symbols. If the definition of a scale is restricted to non-chromatic scales, the harmonic universe of scales and chords comes into clear focus. I wish I had known that 50 years earlier. Now you know. The 9 scales in the table are non-chromatic. In fact, they represent the 9 harmonic galaxies by non-chromatic shape in the harmonic universe, the harmonic galactic senate, if you will. It's also useful to view the notes of the chromatic scale as the hours on the face of a clock. Hours help describe the orientation of a note. For example, the major 6 appears at the 9 o'clock position, or the interval between notes. For example, the interval between root and the major 3rd is 4 hours or half steps. Intervals have various names, most of which derive from intervals in the major scale between its root and other notes. In the mode studies, scales are played ascending from their root and descending by seconds, every note, thirds, every other note, and fourths, every 3rd note. Ascending the major scale by seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, traverses 1 octave before reaching the root again. Ascending the major scale by thirds, 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 1, traverses 2 octaves before reaching the root again. In the mode studies, the second octave is transposed down an octave to limit the range. Ascending the major scale by fourths, 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, traverses 3 octaves before reaching the root again. In the mode studies, the 3 octaves are transposed into 2 octaves to limit the range. Ascending a scale by thirds is called arpeggiation, which generates a chord from a scale. The name of a scale and its chord symbol are shown together in green to remind us they yield the same notes. In chord symbols, superscript delta indicates a major seventh, and its absence indicates a minor seventh. Superscript 9, 11, and 13 refer to notes 2, 4, and 6, which arpeggiation traverses in the second octave. The major scale generates the delta 13 chord. The harmonic universe of non-chromatic scales is revealed by considering their shapes on a 12-slice tray. How many non-chromatic scales have 9 or more notes? Placing 9 slices on a 12-slice tray without 3 in a row is impossible, so there are none. How many non-chromatic scales have 8 notes? There is one way to place 8 slices on a 12-slice tray without 3 in a row. That is one 8-note non-chromatic shape. The root, not yet established, can be rotated to start at any note in a shape, producing various scales called modes. 8 and 12 have common divisor 4, so this 8-note shape subdivides a 12-note octave into 4 repeating step patterns, and rotating the root produces only 2 distinct modes. The diminished scale starts with a whole step and alternates whole and half steps. The inverse diminished scale starts with a half step and alternates half and whole steps. Arpeggiation traverses only 4 of the 8 notes before reaching the root again, generating the fully diminished 7th chord, represented by the chord symbol circle 7. The 8-note non-chromatic shape is degenerate, producing 2 modes generating only 1 chord. How many non-chromatic scales have 7 notes? There are 6 ways to place 7 slices on a 12-slice tray without 3 in a row. That is 6 7-note non-chromatic shapes. I wish I had known that 50 years earlier. Now you know. To help recognize them, no matter how they're oriented, the shapes are seen as snow angels. Top to bottom, right to left, they are arms, which waves its arms, also known as the diatonic shape, having 5 whole steps and 2 maximally separated half steps. Heel down, which kicks a heel in the downward or counterclockwise direction. Legs, which waves its legs. Heel up, which kicks a heel in the upward or clockwise direction. Head up, which tilts its head in the upward direction. And head down, which tilts its head in the downward direction. 7 and 12 have no common divisors, so a 7-note shape cannot subdivide a 12-note octave into repeating step patterns, and rotating the root produces 7 distinct modes generating 7 distinct extended 13th chords. Moreover, since these 6 shapes are distinct, the 7 modes and chords yielded by one shape are distinct from those yielded by the other 5 shapes. The 6 7-note non-chromatic shapes are fully generative, producing 6 times 7 equals 42 modes, generating 42 extended 13th chords. How many non-chromatic scales have 6 notes? There are 26 ways to place 6 slices on a 12-slice tray without 3 in a row. That is 26 6-note non-chromatic shapes. But only 2 of those shapes are not covered by a 7-note non-chromatic shape, and the rest need not be studied separately. 6 and 12 have common divisors 6 and 3, so these 2 6-note shapes subdivide a 12-note octave into 6 or 3 repeating step patterns, and rotating the root produces only 1 or 2 distinct modes. The whole tone scale consists of 6 whole steps. The augmented scale starts with an augmented second and alternates augmented seconds and half steps. The inverse augmented scale starts with a half step and alternates half steps and augmented seconds. Arpeggiation traverses only 3 of the 6 notes before reaching the root again, generating the augmented triad represented by the chord symbol plus. These 2 6-note chromatic shapes are degenerate, producing 3 modes generating only 1 chord. How many non-chromatic scales have 5 or fewer notes? There are 98 5 or fewer note non-chromatic shapes, but they are all covered by 7-note non-chromatic shapes and need not be studied separately. Non-chromatic shapes having more than 7 or fewer than 7 notes are either degenerate or covered by a 7-note non-chromatic shape. The mode studies present only the 42 7-note non-chromatic modes and the extended 13th chords they generate, which cover the harmonic universe. They can all be seen here by rotating the root around these 6 shapes. You probably know some of them by name. Let's get to know all of them and the chords they generate. When I was young, I liked drawing flipbook animations. The mode studies contain animations of musical concepts like rotation, alteration, and key change. I encourage you to flip through them. Let's rotate quickly around the diatonic modes, also known as the major modes, starting with the major scale. Watch the root note 0 at the 12 o'clock position and the note labels which collectively rotate over the fixed shape. First mode, second mode, third mode, fourth mode, fifth mode, sixth mode, seventh mode, return to first mode. Let's rotate slowly and study the major modes. The first major mode is the major scale itself. It has a major 7th. It generates the delta 13 chord and can be played over delta 7 chords. The second major mode is the Dorian mode. It has a minor 7th and 3rd relative to the major scale. It generates the minor 13 chord and can be played over minor 7 chords. It effectively adds 2 flats to the root major key signature, as shown by the key change on the left. The third major mode is the Phrygian mode. It has a minor 7th, 3rd, 6th, and 2nd relative to the major scale. It generates the minor 11, flat 9, flat 13 chord. It effectively adds 4 flats to the root major key signature. The fourth major mode is the Lydian mode. It has an augmented 4th relative to the major scale. It generates the delta 13 sharp 11 chord and can be played over delta 7 chords. It effectively adds one sharp to the root major key signature. The fifth major mode is the Mixolydian mode. It has a minor seventh relative to the major scale. It generates the 13th chord and can be played over 7th chords. It effectively adds one flat to the root major key signature. The sixth major mode is the Aeolian mode, also known as the natural minor scale. It has a minor 7th, 3rd, and 6th relative to the major scale. It generates the minor 11 flat 13 chord and can be played over minor 7th chords. It effectively adds 3 flats to the root major key signature. The seventh major mode is the Locrian mode. It has a minor 7th, 3rd, 6th, 2nd, and diminished 5th relative to the major scale. It generates the minor 11 flat 5, flat 9, flat 13 chord and can be played over half diminished minor 7 flat 5 chords. It effectively adds 5 flats to the root major key signature. Rotation produces a scale from a scale by rotating the root to start at another note. Alteration produces a scale from a scale by altering one note a half step, either downward, counterclockwise, or upward, clockwise. Flat and sharp become verbs that describe alterations. For example, major sharp 4 raises the 4th note by a half step. Note that it retains the diatonic arm shape, so it must be a major mode. Major sharp 4 produces the Lydian mode, which effectively adds one sharp to the root major key signature, as shown by the key change on the left. If you sort the major modes by key change with the root oriented at the 12 o'clock position, you reveal a sequence of downward alterations. Each of the following alterations retains the diatonic arm shape and effectively adds one flat to the previous key signature. Lydian flat 4 produces the major scale. Major flat 7 produces the Mixolydian mode. Mixolydian flat 3 produces the Dorian mode. Dorian flat 6 produces the natural minor scale. Natural minor flat 2 produces the Phrygian mode, and Phrygian flat 5 produces the Locrian mode. Rotation retains shape, but alteration can change the shape and transport you to other harmonic galaxies. An alteration that changes the shape is called a harmonic alteration. For example, major flat 6 changes the shape to heel down. It produces the harmonic major scale. It generates the delta 11 flat 13 chord. It effectively flats the 3rd symbol before the end of the root major key signature, as shown by the key change on the left. Major flat 3 changes the shape to legs. It produces the jazz minor scale, also known as the ascending melodic minor scale. It generates the minor delta 13 chord and can be played over minor delta 7 chords. It effectively flats the second symbol before the end of the root major key signature. Major flat 3, flat 6 changes the shape to heel up. It produces the harmonic minor scale. It generates the minor delta 11 flat 13 chord. It effectively flats the second and third cymbals before the end of the root major key signature. Major flat 3, flat 5 changes the shape to head up. It produces the jazz minor flat 5 scale. It generates the minor delta 13 flat 5 chord. It effectively flats the second and fifth cymbals before the end of the root major key signature. Major flat 3, flat 5, flat 6 changes the shape to head down. It generates the minor delta 11 flat 5, flat 13 chord. It effectively flats the second, fifth, and third cymbals before the end of the root major key signature. Harmonic alterations of the major scale have taken us to all 6 7-note non-chromatic shapes, revealing a map of the harmonic universe. Harmonic alterations flat 3, flat 5, and flat 6 combine to span all 6 7-note non-chromatic shapes, harmonic galaxies in the harmonic universe. Harmonic alterations add 2 harmonic dimensions to major scales, rows altering the root triad, major, minor, or diminished, and columns altering the sixth, major or minor. If you can play the major scale in every major key, you can learn to play the harmonic universe of all scales by adding these 2 harmonic dimensions to your playing. I practice the harmonic alterations of the major scale from top to bottom, right to left, that is from most augmented to most diminished. By seconds. By thirds. And by fourths. Rotating the root around these 6 shapes produces the 42 7-note non-chromatic modes and the extended 13th chords they generate. Let's rotate quickly around the 7-note non-chromatic modes, starting with the harmonic alterations of the major scale. Watch the root note at the 12 o'clock position and the note labels which collectively rotate over the fixed shapes. First modes, second modes, third modes, fourth modes, fifth modes, sixth modes, seventh modes, return to first modes. Let's rotate slowly and study the 7-note non-chromatic modes. The 7th chord over which each mode can be played is now revealed. The first modes are harmonic alterations of the major scale itself. They have a major 7th. The second modes are harmonic alterations of the Dorian mode. They have a minor seventh and third relative to the major scale. The third modes are harmonic alterations of the Phrygian mode. The fourth modes are harmonic alterations of the Lydian mode. They have an augmented fourth relative to the major scale. The fifth modes are harmonic alterations of the Mixolydian mode. Most have a minor seventh relative to the major scale. The sixth modes are harmonic alterations of the natural minor scale. The seventh modes are harmonic alterations of the Locrian mode. Most have a minor third, sixth, second, and diminished fifth relative to the major scale. Now we know the harmonic universe of all scales and chords. How can we learn to play every scale starting on any root pitch? The same way you learn to play the major scale starting on any root pitch, using key signatures. The top staff illustrates traditional diatonic key signatures, also known as major key signatures. The vertical lines are not bar lines, they mark the fixed beginning and movable end of a key signature. Moving the end left removes flats or sharps. Moving the end right adds flats or sharps. Only 1/6 of the harmonic universe is diatonic. Why does playing in the other 5/6 require accidentals? The bottom staff introduces universal key signatures, which I invented to straighten out traditional key signatures and notate non-diatonic keys without accidentals. In sharp key signatures, F sharp and G sharp are lowered an octave, revealing a straight ladder of ascending fifths. In flat key signatures, flats are added to the left rather than to the right, revealing a straight ladder of ascending rather than descending fifths. Moving the end left removes sharps or adds flats. Moving the end right removes flats or adds sharps. Let's run through the key signatures from 7 sharps to 7 flats, comparing diatonic and universal key signatures. In universal key signatures, harmonic alterations flat 3, flat 5, and flat 6 can be applied to the second, fifth, and third cymbals before the end. Harmonic alterations applied to a cymbal right of the beginning changes it from sharp to natural. The scale notes and harmonic alteration positions are shown in green and move in lockstep with the end. 7 sharps, 6 sharps, 5 sharps, 4 sharps. Harmonic alteration applied to a cymbal left of the beginning changes it from missing to flat. In E major, flat 5 adds B flat, producing a universal key signature with both sharps and flats. 3 sharps, 2 sharps, 1 sharp, no sharps or flats, 1 flat, 2 flats, 3 flats. Harmonic alteration applied to a cymbal more than 7 left of the beginning wraps around and changes its first occurrence from flat to double flat. In E flat major, flat 5 changes B flat to B double flat, producing a universal key signature with double flats. 4 flats, 5 flats. 5 flats and 7 sharps are enharmonic. They notate the same pitches. To avoid double flats as much as possible, we prefer sharp keys over enharmonic flat keys. The gray background marks 5 flats as redundant. 6 flats and 6 sharps are enharmonic. 7 flats and 5 sharps are enharmonic. Now we can musically notate the harmonic universe rooted on any pitch using universal key signatures. The 6 staffs contain harmonic alterations of a major key signature, spanning all 6 7-note non-chromatic shapes, harmonic galaxies in the harmonic universe. The whole note marks the root and establishes the root pitch. Moving a whole note up or down a staff effectively rotates the root around a 7-note non-chromatic shape, producing its 7 modes. All 42 7-note non-chromatic modes in the harmonic universe can be seen here by moving the root up and down these 6 staffs. Let's run through universal key signatures from 7 sharps to 4 flats, playing the harmonic alterations in the major scale from top to bottom, right to left. I'll play them by seconds, thirds, or fourths, my choice. Harmonic alterations of C sharp major. Harmonic alterations of F sharp major. Harmonic alterations of B major. Harmonic alterations of E major. Flat 5 adds B flat, producing universal key signatures with both sharps and flats. Harmonic alterations of A major. Harmonic alterations of D major. Harmonic alterations of G major. Harmonic alterations of C major. Harmonic alterations of F major. Harmonic alterations of B flat major, which we heard earlier. Harmonic alterations of E flat major. Flat 5 changes B flat to B double flat, producing universal key signatures with double flats. Harmonic alterations of A flat major. The last three sections of the mode studies each present all 42 7-note non-chromatic modes in 12 universal keys. They differ only in the order the modes are presented by key, by chord, or by root. Each staff plays a mode in a universal key ascending from its root and descending by seconds, thirds, and fourths. Modes by key orders the modes by universal key from 7 sharps through 7 flats, with 1 page per key. Use it to compactly study all 7 modes of a universal key, like the B-flat jazz minor modes that you see here. If you can play the major scale in every major key, you're familiar with how each major key feels under your fingers, no matter what instrument you play. I strongly recommend you practice modes by key until you're familiar with how each universal key feels under your fingers. Modes by chord orders the modes by the extended chords they generate, from most augmented to most diminished, with 2 pages per chord. Use it to compactly study a mode or extended chord in 12 universal keys, like the chord minor delta 11 flat 13, generated by the harmonic minor scale that you see here. Modes by root orders the modes by root pitch, from C descending by fifths, with 6 pages per root pitch. Use it to compactly study all 42 modes rooted on a pitch, like the modes rooted on B flat that you see here. Now we know the harmonic universe of all scales and chords, and can learn to play every scale starting on any root pitch using universal key signatures. Improvising musicians strive to play interesting musical ideas over chord changes. I've been working on it since 1967. Becoming comfortable playing in every universal key will expand the universe of musical ideas you can improvise. Download a zip file containing the Mode Studies PDFs, treble and bass clef, using the QR code or the URL, and enjoy your musical journey.